Hello, welcome back to Barn and Soul, the podcast where farming meets heart, history, and the rare and wonderful. I'm Kendall, and today, today's a little spicy. This episode is called Maybe You Shouldn't Be a Farmer. I know, it sounds harsh, but stay with me. Because the truth is, farming is beautiful, meaningful, ancient work. But it's also brutal, exhausting, relentless, and emotionally heavy in ways people never really consider until they're too far in it. And I think sometimes the most honest, compassionate thing we can do is acknowledge that farming is just not for everyone. And that doesn't make anyone lesser or weaker or less connected to nature. It just means the fit isn't right. Before we jump into the deeper stuff, here are a few fast facts just to ground the conversation. No heavy numbers, just truth. More than half of new farmers quit within 5 years. The average farmer works well over 50 hours a week, often 70 or more during peak seasons. Livestock work is considered one of the most physically dangerous job categories. And most small farms survive on education, agritourism, or off-farm jobs, not on what they grow or raise. Okay, let's get into it. Romance versus reality. If I'll be honest, if I had $1 for every time someone said, "Oh my gosh, your life is so peaceful, I want to buy a farm and retire," we could afford a second hay barn. People say it lovingly, and they're responding to the beauty and the goats and the pretty Instagram moments. They're picturing chickens pecking gently in the grass and the serene morning coffee on the porch. What they're not picturing is carrying a 50-pound feed bag through mud that feels like it's actively trying to eat your boots. They're not picturing needing 2 people to grab a 150-pound goat who is screaming because you need to put eye drops in 3 times a day. They're definitely not picturing frozen water buckets in February and the many, many feet, in some cases, of snow that you not only have to shovel for yourself and your driveway and your walkways, but also for theirs, the animals. They need them too. Romanticizing farming is easy when you're not doing the farming. And again, that doesn't make anybody wrong. It just means there's a gap between how farming looks and how it actually feels. Farm life makes your body stronger, but it also asks for your patience, your emotional resilience, your time, and your willingness to constantly adapt. And some people simply don't enjoy that, and that's okay. The emotional cost. People always assume the hardest part of farming is the physical work. And there's truth to that. But really, a quiet truth is that the emotional toll is usually far heavier than the physical one. Farming intertwines your heart with living beings who depend on you for everything. Every meal, every drink of water, every patch of bedding, every inch of safety. And when you love your animals, like we do, like really love them, it's a powerful bond. And it is costly because the animals age. They get sick. They pass suddenly. I mean, they surprise you with resilience and then break you with fragility. I have experienced losses on this farm that have dropped me to my knees. Nate the goat. Even the small ones, as I mentioned in my last episode, lovey-dovey. Every farmer knows this heartbreak intimately, especially farmers like us who are education/mission driven and we love animals. What you don't get to do is emotionally step back, and you don't get to clock out of caring Farming requires your heart, and your heart is going to get bruised. If someone can't metabolize grief, if they shut down easily, or they can't separate sadness from responsibility, farming becomes unbearable. You know what I've learned since becoming an adult? Is that not all adults act like adults. And the thing about farms is that the responsibility is relentless. So, one of the hardest truths about farm life is that it never, ever, ever stops. If you're sick, the animals still need you. If it's Christmas morning, they still need you. Oh, when that nor'easter rolls in sideways, guess who still needs you? And if you're grieving or overwhelmed or burnt out, they need you. Yeah, you can replace yourself. What if they don't show up? There's no out of office button. There's no backup crew waiting in the wings. If you're like me, it's just you and your family. There are days where you have to put down your own emotions. They go on a shelf and you say, okay, I'll deal with me later. Let's feed everybody. That level of responsibility, the kind that never pauses, it's much like parenthood, obviously, but it's not. It's more. It's on top of that. Some people struggle enough with just caring for their children. So 100+ animals, that's not for everyone. And you know what? It shouldn't have to be. And then there's the financial truth. Let me say something that all farmers know, but many will hesitate to admit. Farming, by itself, rarely pays the bills. People think, oh, well, you sell eggs. Maybe you grow veggies. You raise cute goats. That boom, income. And in our case, we live on this property that's been in the family for 160 years. So there's a lot of assumptions that come along with that. But in reality, most small farms, especially heritage breed educational farms like ours, rely on multiple revenue streams just to keep the lights on. We survive on our educational programs, like our toddler enrichment groups, our country store. Seasonal events are huge. Online orders, especially over the holidays. We don't do a ton of fundraising. I need to do more of that, but I try to make it, transactional. Come to the farm. Help us that way. Farming today requires entrepreneurship just as much as animal care, which is why I love West Bergman and Beta Blocks, but that'll be for another day. The point is that this is not a 9-to-5 situation where you're going to get that same amount in the paycheck every 2 weeks. It is the opposite of that. And when some people, like I said, they hear that and they're like, yes, let's go. And other people are like, oh, absolutely not. And I'm here to say that both reactions are valid, but only one of them matches farm life, right? And so you're either ready for the ride or you're not meant for it. Ah, yes. I just had an entire episode about winter. There is such a thing I call the New England winter test. If you want the most honest, immediate way to know whether farming is in your bones, I'll give you the test. Spend, one morning doing chores in a classic New England winter. Just one. The air cuts like glass. The water freezes solid, literally within minutes sometimes. You don't get to use hoses. There's no hoses. You have a well. We used to have to pull it directly from the well with buckets, but now my mom has invested in a whole situation that has made life way easier. But your fingers still stop working. Your eyelashes are going to freeze together. And every animal I swear, they just choose that day, that exact day, to be just more difficult than usual. I once heard someone say that farming in New England during winter is like trying to do ballet in a cement mixer. How's that for imagery? I feel like winter is when people realize, wow, I like the idea of farming way more than the reality. And again, that's fine. There is no shame in recognizing that a lifestyle isn't aligned with your needs. But those of us who are built for it, winter becomes this strange badge of honor. You learn your strength there, and it does make the relief of spring. It's like a deep breath. It's like, ah, yes, we did it. We're here. I also want to add, and maybe I might touch upon this again, but in case I don't forget that this is not just affecting you. I'm talking a lot about your experience as a farmer in New England, but if you're having a hard time, the animals probably aren't having a great time either. So probably the most important point to make is you definitely shouldn't be a farmer if you're not aware of how important your role is to the quality of their life. Yeah, moving on. So at this point, you're probably thinking, well, who is farming for? Lots of reasons not to farm, Kendall. What are we talking about? Who is farming? Who is the perfect farmer? Okay, no such thing. But I will say farming is for people who can find calm in chaos. People who don't mind a routine that isn't a routine. It's going to change all the time, sometimes daily. It depends on the weather, the animals, and those completely unpredictable whims of nature. Farmers have a sense of a big picture. They're not necessarily stuck on themselves. They know they can't be because too much is working around them and happening around them, and they're responsible for too many lives and too many moving pieces. Hence the entrepreneurial aspect of the role. So if you're a 9-to-5 office job worker and you like that sense of stability, that's great. It just probably makes you less compatible with the pushes and pulls of a random farm life. And let me give you some personal truths to show you what it really is. I mean, our goats don't care about our schedule. They operate on their own time, their own drama arc, and even their own comedic timing. Our Sebastopol geese are loving, but they've gotten out of their pens before, and we're chasing them around, getting them back in. The chickens lay eggs wherever they want to, and I have to find them. And in winter, the winter closes half your to-do list for 3 months because the ground is frozen solid and the weather laughs at your plans. But we love it, and we find systems that work. We evolve, we adjust, we adapt. We find satisfaction in discovering solutions to things to make life more streamlined and efficient. We love it. It's ridiculous. It's exhausting, and it owns us. But we like it. So, if farming isn't for you, that does not mean you're not a farm person. This part matters to me. I need this to be so clear. I almost put it first, but we're here. You can love animals, you can love nature, and you can be deeply connected to the land. And still not want to be a farmer. That's okay. It does not make you less compassionate, less outdoorsy, less soulful, less connected, or less authentic. There are plenty of people who support farms, volunteer at farms, visit farms, donate to conservation programs, plant pollinator gardens, they buy local foods, and they're teaching their kids to respect animals. You all whoever you are out there doing these things, you are essential to the future of sustainable agriculture. Us farmers do not need everyone to be farmers, but we do need people who support the work, love the work, and value it. So don't feel bad if you don't feel like mucking stalls every week of your life and, scraping pig pens. Like, that's fine. Don't worry about it. I've got you. We're cool. But maybe you go to dalbyfarm.com and shop from our store, because the money you spend there helps us do this work. Maybe you find the local farms in your area and you buy your produce from them. Maybe you stop buying meat from grocery stores and you look up the farms in your area that are raising heritage breeds. That is half of my battle right now. And something I'm going to be doing in the coming year is approaching the different farms around me and trying to get them to consider looking into different breeds. It's a big conversation that needs to be had. And I'm trying to start it on this podcast, slowly but surely. Biodiversity, it's important. The simple act of supporting farmers that are raising heritage breeds for food could save countless endangered farm breeds. Countless. Grocery store convenience is coming at a real cost to living beings, heritage breeds that have been around forever, all because we just want to walk into one place and grab this thing and be done. But I don't know. I have hope that if you're not a farmer, you can at least support a farmer. I don't feel overly articulate or eloquent today, so I'm sorry if I'm tripping over myself a little bit on this one. But so I've described a lot of hardship, a lot of responsibility, a lot of tedious, mundane, uncomfortable stuff. So why am I a farmer? I mean, it helps that the farm has been in my family since 1861, as I've told you countless times. So there's an automatic sense of duty and legacy there that I think each and every generation that has lived at Dalby wants to uphold. That being said, it was only in the early 2000s that my mom converted this farm into an educational mission. And I agree with it. We sit on this land. It has the farm infrastructure. She learned about a problem and wanted to help solve it. And while I know we won't single-handedly do that, I also know that we're part of fixing it and not part of making it worse. So the mission itself gives me a sense of purpose, and then come in the animals, and then you actually meet the creatures that you're caring for and the breeds, and you get to know them, and that the purpose is just overwhelming. It's never been about money or status or anything like that. It's always been about mission. And so in the mission, I get to experience these moments of pure connection with living history. This is ancient history. These animals trust me. I'm giving them the best lives an animal could ever want. They have won the barn lottery. We get to care for endangered animals. We're preserving this history. We are inspiring the next generations, and even my caregivers and parents come too, and they learn something. I have grieved so many times. There's no question. But the joy, community, those toddlers, then their first earliest memories are going to be with my pets. That level of fulfillment cannot really be articulated. And yeah, it is stressful. I'm dreading this winter. I am not excited. I hope, similarly to what I was saying before about being flexible and adapting, I'm going to be testing out different ways to solve problems that bother us year after year on the farm. So stay tuned, because I'm going to make a whole episode about things I'm going to try and see how they fail or succeed. And maybe we'll be surprised together. I don't know. But that's my point. Onward and upward. How can we do it better this time? What can we do differently? Who can we influence and empower and inspire along the way. It's not peaceful, it's not simple, and it's not meaningful to everybody. But it is for me, and that's everything. So, I don't know. Where do you stand? Maybe you shouldn't be a farmer. Or maybe you're exactly the kind of person farming has been waiting for. Either way, I just hope this episode gives you perspective. Maybe some clarity or a moment of honesty with yourself in a world full of romantic filters. Thanks for checking in. Till next time, take care. If you enjoyed this episode, please share, leave a comment, maybe a question I can answer in a future episode. Subscribe to the channel, you know the whole deal. And of course, you can visit dalbyfarm.com. We do ship nationwide. Our country store has something for everybody. So I hope, and please know that all purchases, I believe it's at least 50% of each and every purchase goes directly back to the care and upkeep of this family farm. So we thank you very much. I hope this finds you well, and we'll see you next time. Oh, and don't forget to appreciate the rare and wonderful things in life.